Welcome to another episode of Purchase to Profits. I'm Seth Ferguson. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our interviews with successful real estate investors. Our guest today sold all of his single-family rentals and apartments to build a self-storage empire. He has raised over $20 million in syndicates and private equity and is the principal in 16 self-storage facilities totaling over 5,000 units and approximately 1 million square feet. Scott Meyers is the founder and president of Self Storage Profits Incorporated. Scott, welcome to Purchase to Profits. It's great to have you on the show.
Hey, Seth. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for taking the time. I'm really excited about this interview just because you've, like I mentioned in the introduction, you sold off all of your apartments, all your single family homes and moved into self-storage. So this will be really interesting.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So to kick things off, do you want to share what your current real estate goals are right now?
Yeah, our goals are, as I think like everybody's, as we evolve a little bit, that changes from time to time. If I look back at my original goals in real estate, I followed the Carlton Sheets method and bought some houses. And I think if I'm correct, the goal was to build, have 30 houses and after 15 years pay off half of them, and then the others are free and clear for the rest or whatever. And we've taken a couple of deviations since then, but right now it's we're looking at heading into this next recession will be a heavy growth period for us. We have a lot of equity investors behind us, as you mentioned in the intro. And so we're looking to take advantage of the opportunities that the market will present itself during the next recession. So we'll be shifting again from development to existing facilities once some of those start to shake out in the next couple of years or so. And so for the next 5 to 6 years, we're going to be going at a pretty quick pace. We'll still be doing some development and conversions, but I'm looking to purchase a number of facilities. And so I can't say, every time I set a goal, it changes. I don't want to say I blast past it or, surpass. Every time I set a goal in one direction, we tend to go somewhere else. But from a time standpoint, I think the next 5 to 6 years, we're going to be going at a pretty quick pace, and then selling off of some properties, moving away from the education side of my business and moving more towards masterminding, and then just having a close-knit group of a few dozen folks that I'm doing business with, and we're just kind of selecting more so the types of deals that we're going to be doing. So, and then just enjoying time on the mission field, spending time with my family, and then hopefully going to more races over in Europe if possible. How's that?
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. So you mentioned, the next recession, whatever that occurs, nobody has a crystal ball.
Right.
Are you consolidating a bit right now to kind of get ready to springboard forward when that happens?
I don't know that consolidating is the right word, but we're building up this war chest, of these private equity investors and folks. Yeah. And so I put it this way. I mean, they're attracted to us. So we have a lot of folks that seeing what we're doing. A lot of folks that continue to invest with us because we've done so well for them. And so we're really, tooting that horn heavily right now. And so that we will be looking for more opportunities. So it's building up the available cash, because we know the lending side, especially for development, really drops off a cliff during a recession. And then the banks that are lending on income producing properties, they still, they sharpen their pencil during the underwriting, and things are a little more difficult. The LTVs come down, the loans have. And so, cash is king, as they always say, and especially so, when you're trying to buy things at wholesale, which things will be, and then some, just like the last recession. So that's more along the lines of what we're doing is kind of getting our ducks in a row and making sure that we have enough ammunition to take advantage of the opportunities.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. And you had started your company during the last recession. What did you start in 2008? Was it, or 2006?
Well, it's and kind of morphed. I got into real estate investing back in 1993. So I've been through 2 economic cycles now. Yeah. So houses and apartments, through the recession in 99 is when I kind of saw the light and decided I wanted to get into self-storage because it was recession proof and inflation proof, or at least I'd heard. I didn't experience that at that point. Yeah. And then, fast forward, we started building up some facilities, a portfolio of facilities, and then heading into that, the next recession. And so in 2000, started buying self-storage 2005, 2006, and 2007. And then heading into that recession, self-storage does really well. There's a huge demand for storage because people are consolidating, businesses are downsizing. So, did well during that recession. But then, coming out of that, then we realized, the opportunity that exists for those that do have cash, and we certainly could have done much, much better than we did do during that one. So,
Yeah.
again, armed with that information, that experience, that's what has kind of led us to preparing for this one. So along the way, 5 and 6 is when we were selling off our houses and our apartments, and really then just going, full board into self storage, and then development is when that started. So around 2000, let me see here, probably 12 or 13 is when we began on the conversion and the development side. So that's kind of the history and the multiple phases of my investment career.
Yeah. And as somebody who's seen those multiple cycles, do you have any tips or advice to somebody maybe who hasn't been through the war that many times?
Yeah, a lot. Get ready for one. And we say that jokingly, but I'm in a number of masterminds right now, and we see some folks that are just starting out, or some folks that are experiencing some real success post recession in real estate, and that's fantastic. But you know what? A really, really good economy makes a whole lot of average investors look really, really smart, and so the wheat will be separated chaff come this next recession. And so, I'm not saying that in any type of braggadocious way or mighty high horse way, but we saw it the last time. The carnage was everywhere. Same thing. There's a whole lending was free, and people were just loosey goosey, doing deals all over the place, and the money was being doled out freely. And although we learned from that, and the money isn't as easy to come by, the success is there again. And so, for the folks that are investing and they're banking on, no pun intended, banking relationships, lender relationships, and credit lines for their growth and for their long-term sustainability, we don't, again, like you said, crystal ball is broken. We don't know when, and we don't know how severe this may be. A correction, it may be a recession. Some people say it's minor. Some people predict that it's going to be bigger than the last. Either way, interest rates will go up. The banks will at least back off and reduce their lending. And for some folks, all it takes is those two occurrences, along with interest rates going up, that just throws their business model into turmoil. And there are far too many of those folks that haven't been through that cycle, that and because they don't know how to predict it, that are going to get caught out. And when the music stops, they will be left without a chair if they haven't prepared. And so it's keeping cash reserves behind. It's not building your entire business model on the economics and the financial markets today, because that will change dramatically. Yeah. So having cash on hand, being liquid, don't get into long-term projects, that have an exit strategy in 2 to 3 years, and you're banking on the fact that cap rates are going to be at a certain amount, and you're going to get this type of value out of a facility, or in our industry, or an apartment complex, or your other properties, without understanding that hey, 2 to 3 years interest rates are going to be dramatically higher, and there's going to be fewer buyers, and so for whatever sector of real estate that you're in, just be looking down the road right now 2 to 3 years, and understanding that the climate is going to be different, and how are you preparing right now for what's going to happen in 2 to 3 years. So long-winded answer to your question, Seth, but having a more longer view, I think, of what's going to happen, and having an exit strategy in mind and a plan to put one together then, because that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, no, that was a good answer. Thanks for sharing that. In your business right now, do you have any routines that you do maybe daily or weekly that keeps you focused?
Yeah, I can't say that it's in the business. I guess it's probably more on the personal side, and that's I am a creature of routine, and I'm also a product of many books that I've read, and many mentors along the way. Morning routines have been, pretty big. People writing books and talking about that a lot, in the past couple of years. And I've had a morning routine that hasn't changed in probably 15 years. And that's getting up at 4 a.m. and having a cup of coffee, and going to the gym, and then hanging out with God, and showing up to work at 7 o'clock, and begin the day at that point. And then that starts still usually before most other people are. And that's prioritizing and having a plan for the day, rather than the day, just kind of dictating what my schedule is going to be, and stating that this is either the one thing that, no matter what happens, that I have to, before I shut it down today, I have to get this one thing done, or these 3 things done. Whereas the Scott Meyers of the past used to try to pick off the low-hanging fruit and make myself feel good about all the many things that I picked off. So that I think just going throughout my, starting my day that way, really it is about the morning routine, and then being diligent throughout the rest of the day, checking emails twice a day, as Tim Ferriss mentions, at 11 a.m. and then 4 p.m. and just sticking to a routine like the successful people have out there, and then having balance. I shut it down at 5. And I'm available for the family. And if it didn't get done today, well, it's always going to be there. But my kids are not always going to be at home. So I think I've achieved that balance pretty well. So that's in a nutshell. That's the routine. That's what I go through just about each and every day.
Yeah. And as you started doing that routine, have you seen a measurable increase in your productivity and your success once you got into that routine?
Yeah, I think so. And I still fall out of it from time to time. There's fires that need to be put on. There's emergencies, and even though I have my day planned and some different schedule things, you have to allot for that. And sometimes things get derailed. But I can't imagine. I see other folks that even that we work with that don't have any type of a plan, and they do. They let their day and their schedule and their email and everything run them, and they don't get things done. Yeah. I think anybody that has any measure of success is really in control of their schedule. They're learning how to prioritize, focus, and delegate. That's if you want to boil it down, it's those things. Hey, this is what needs to get done today. I'm going to focus on it until it gets done, and anything else that is really critical that I know I'm not going to get to today, then I need to delegate that to somebody else, or hire somebody else that I can delegate those things to, just so that things don't fall through the cracks.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it makes sense. Before we get to a Keystone Deal, I'm really curious. What attracted you to the self-storage side from that single family and that apartment? Like what pulled you over to that side?
Yeah, well, shortly after I got into the business, I launched an education company, and our tagline is all the benefits of real estate without all the hassles of the tenants and toilets and trash, and that's that's it. That boils it down. Yeah. That is the real world experience, and but that lesson was learned really set out of the recession that we went through in '99. The Community Reinvestment Act was enacted here in the U.S., which basically the administration at the time felt that anybody that could fog a mirror should get a loan and have a home. And so they lowered the requirements, they backed those mortgages, and that's what led to then the recession that we went through in 2008. Well, back in '99, when those loans were being made in 2000, after that recession, in 2000 is when the Community Reinvestment Act was put into place. So those people, all our tenants, were then able to buy. And it was the best time in history, the first time in their lives that they could ever do this. And so they were. And who could blame them? Yeah. So they're leaving our rental houses and our apartments in droves. And so, we struggled and battled through that until we, began turning those around and selling them. But I realized that, through that, it's one thing to rehab a house in an apartment, or let's say a single family house, to rent it versus to rehab it to sell, at top dollar in the neighborhood. There's a big swing. Yeah. So, but when these leaving, or even after a number of these apartment complexes that we were trying to regentrify, moving these folks in, they're all just renters at heart, and we found that it's a broken business model. No matter how nice of a house it was, and we offered on rent to own, they would still treat it as a rental, trash the place, not follow through, not buy the house, and we'd go to court and walk out with a little yellow piece of paper with no ability to collect the amount of money that was owed to us in back rent and late fees, and then all the damages. And you know what? It's a model when somebody can move in, not pay you, destroy your house, and then the court says, well, that's just non-payment of rent and excessive wear and tear. No, that's stealing, and that is destroying our property. And but because it's habitational real estate, the courts and the entire system kind of look at it differently. So when I put pencil to paper, I realized I thought, I love real estate, want to stay in it for all the reasons we love real estate, appreciation, depreciation, it is passive if you run it right. But how do I eliminate, the single biggest factor that was causing the losses, or not to be so profitable, which are just the tenants, the toilets, and all the trash left behind. So it was either parking lots or self-storage. In a parking lot, you can't raise value like you can with houses and apartments and other income-reducing properties. But with self-storage, you can. You add more units, you raise rents, you add, truck rental and retail sales and things of that nature. So I began looking into it, and then realized, after that, looked into it. The fact that if somebody doesn't pay you, you can put them into an overlock situation where you lock them out of the facility. The gate code doesn't even work for them to get on the grounds, and they can't get at their stuff until they pay you. And if they don't pay, then we get to auction their stuff off. And that's because of the lien laws we have in self-storage versus eviction laws that we have in habitational real estate. So, once I saw that, and the fact that during an economy there's more demand and and less development, storage does better. And during good times, people buy more stuff. Storage does extremely well in both good and bad economies. All that combined, made us realize that it's no wonder when we looked into the statistics that self storage has done better than all the other real estate asset classes, through a past 40-year cycle of recessions and boom times. And so all those factors combined made me realize that this is the asset class. And so sold everything else off and went into storage and never looked back.
Yeah. And with all those self-storage deals, is there one that stands out as a Keystone deal that really moved you forward?
Yeah, there's one that's it's a combination of a self-storage industrial building and office building. It's an old A&P grocery store, grocery depot here in the United States that is now the company went bankrupt. There's a handful of stores left. But it was the depot that ran next to the railroad tracks that fed a lot of these grocery stores. It was a 200,000 square foot building that had been converted to office and industrial and warehouse. And we bought it for the price per square foot, but then we converted 40,000 square foot on a level to self-storage, and leased the entire building up, all the storage side up. So I was into self-storage. I was into office rentals. We did warehousing, cold storage, and parking lots, so outdoor parking lot storage as well. So it was kind of like a case study in commercial real estate all in one building. And we sold it in 2007. And it made just shy of $2 million profit on it. So no foresight that there was recession or anything in 2007. It was leased up 100%. It was time to sell. Yeah. Well, then we bought it back. That seller went bankrupt during the recession, and we bought it back for a fourth of what we sold it for. And we're doing it all over again, and now it's listed for sale. And so it's the gift that keeps giving. We won't make as much as we did the first time because we did a syndicated deal, and I'm splitting those profits with some folks. But we're still going to make north of seven figures on it again. So that's my Keystone deal. It's done extremely well for us.
Yeah. Hey, how did you even source that property? Because it sounds like an interesting acquisition.
So we were, when I was selling I was getting into self-storage. I sold an apartment complex, and it had my office in it. And so we were looking for another office building that, was multi-tenant. So maybe it's 2,000 square foot. So myself and my assistant could have an office, and then the rest of it was rented out and basically get my office for free. Try to find something that was undervalued, just like everything else that we buy, and, fix it up and then have my office there. So, we're looking for 2,000, maybe 20,000 square feet in a multi-tenant. Well, we found this one for 200,000 and it was on LoopNet. But I just, kept looking at the cost per square foot and, in our search and our parameters. And I thought, I have to go see this thing. And they offered seller financing, which allowed me to get into a portion to a seller carryback. So I did bank financing and seller financing to get it for no money down. And, plenty of room to move my office and my assistant in there, with 198,000 square feet left over to rent out and produce income. So that's, found it on LoopNet in our search, and it was listed with a broker and an agent, and I was represented by a commercial agent, and, bought it and then sold it and then bought it back without the aid of that, the second time around.
Yeah. And it was that cost per square foot that really attracted you.
Yeah, it really was, at the end of the day, we just kind of, I search parameters in LoopNet, the types I was looking for, and then a cost per square foot, which, just dictated that, we'd weed out the parts of town afterwards. We just want to find something low cost per square foot that we know that we'd be able to make money on if we turned it around, and this one showed up.
Yeah. Do you know how long that property was on the market before you moved?
Not very, it wasn't that first time around. Not very long. I mean, it had been maybe a week or two or something like that. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. It was, we needed to act quick on it. We knew somebody would buy it, but at the end of the day, it's kind of a difficult because it had all those pieces to it. And usually, when folks buy real estate, they're either apartment investors or house investors or storage investors or retail or whatever. And this one was everything. And so, there was lots of people looking at it, but nobody decided to pull the trigger. So I was the one, either brave or stupid enough, one of the two to to go into it and say, I think I can do this, even though I don't have experience in 80% of it. And but we bought it, and it worked out well.
Yeah. So what made you that different buyer that allowed you to see the vision for that property and accomplish it? Because like you said, most people are very,
Yeah.
very like in their own different columns.
Yeah. How about blind entrepreneurial optimism, like so many of us, the Type A folks on your podcast here have at
Yeah.
times. But also matched with running the numbers. We made sure that everything, the P&L drilled down on all the expenses, had it inspected and everything else. But I think I don't know. There's a little bit of everything involved in that. I like to get a deal, and that cost per square foot, there was nothing listed in the market that was even close to that. We could see the upside. We could see the value that could be created in it because the gentleman wasn't doing a very good job. There was all this additional square footage that we could add the storage to, another 40,000 that wasn't producing any income on a second floor. And that combined with, just a challenge and perhaps even the competitive nature in me. It's just like, wow, I stumbled onto something here. Now I'm going to tie it up and make it work no matter what and beat out my competition.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of that, kind of this, I suppose. We just want to try to make something work and make it better. I'm a junker at heart, so I like to fix things up anyways. And this thing it was a distressed property and distress management.
Yeah.
And we just saw lots of opportunities to dig in. And the good news is at the time, we were divesting of other properties. The houses and the apartments are so gosh darn labor intensive. And now I think at that point we had 3 facilities under our belt, which, cost, there's no time in running those. And I had the bandwidth to take on this, learn about it, take it on, and really dive into all the areas of that business and make it sing and move the needle. So we did.
Yeah, that's a really interesting deal. If something like that popped up again today, would you move on it?
It really would depend on the time. This one is in my hometown. We buy and develop facilities all across the country. I don't think I could do anything effectively like this if it were in another city.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes. I've got the knowledge behind me, and I can go in. And I've from time to time I've looked at doing this again and replicating this, even in some other markets. I've had some deals come up. We'll put out still a search and cost per square foot, and there's one that opened up in Mississippi somewhere, but just didn't. It has to have all the right things. It has to be in a decent market and a demand for all those areas and things, and so we can make it work. But there really needs to be somebody that is present and managing the manager that's on site and the contractors if you're going to embark something like this. So if I had to write, joint venture partner, or if it was one of our students that we mentor, that I can certainly do that and have them, go out and be the hands and feet. So I don't know, kind of a wishy-washy answer. I love it. And I love the deal and the chase, as you do as well.
Yeah.
But, effectively be able to put it together, I don't know, it'd have to be the right situation.
Yeah. No, that's a very honest answer. So, yeah. So how has real estate changed your life and set you up so far?
Yeah, well, I got into real estate as kind of a hedge to retirement. Worked for a Fortune 500 company and a tech company, and I realized that I wasn't cut out to be working for somebody else. I was going to go out and do something on my own, and I began buying rental houses, really just to supplement retirement. And I thought it was fun. Again, I'm a junker. Used to fix up cars and bikes when I was a kid, so this was kind of a natural progression or outlet for that. So I studied and saw the value in that, and that there's certainly people, many millions of people ahead of us on this planet that have made money in real estate over the years. It was a proven path to success and some wealth if you put some work into it, and it was predictable. So I chose that, and then once we get into it, we had a little bit of success, and then it was during that downturn in '99. I was working for a tech company when the tech bubble burst, and that's when saw my retirement. So the stock went down. My job was fine, but my stock went down. I lost $350,000 in the stock market. And I said, I think I may want to double down on bricks and mortar. And then when I put pencil to paper and looked at actually how much money I was making per hour in real estate, then it was just kind of silly. I could see and touch my retirement. The other went away is like vapor, and I'm making more money per hour. So yeah, the writing was on the wall. So then quit and became full time. And yeah, it's provided, freedom and flexibility. I mean, not a lot of hours in the beginning. When you're building a business, there is a lot. But once we got into, I should say, once we got out of the tenant toilet side, then it freed up even more time, and there was 10 times more dollars rolling in. That really gave us the freedom and the flexibility for us to go and, take vacations, take time off. And a big part of what our family does is go on mission trips. And we now are at the place where we take our students and our staff and vendors and people with us. We build houses in Mexico and the Dominican Republic, and we pay for the house. We pay for everybody to come along with us. They just have to get to the airport and at that location, and then we handle the rest. And we introduce people to the mission field and what it's like to give back. And that never would have happened had I not gotten into real estate, and especially with self-storage.
Yeah. Well, would you say that aspect, that the giving back, is the most important thing real estate has done for you?
I don't know if it's the most important thing, but we've been blessed mightily, and to be able to give back has been part of our mission statement. And I think that just has come full circle as long as we're obedient. And we tithe 10% on our profits in our education business and our investing business. And the saying goes, you can't outgive God. And as long as we've been obedient to that, the business continues to grow, and we're building more houses and taking more people with us that are going off and seeing what they want to do, and replicating what we do, or doing other things, that are giving back. And once we kind of show them how to do it, or a way to do it. And so, I think we're all built to do that. I don't think anybody really has a goal of, when they retire, sitting on, $30 or $50 million or whatever it is, and just counting it every day. I mean, we're going to go out and do something with it. So I think we're all wired that way. Yeah. And that has been a goal from the beginning. To answer your question, is to be able to give back, and then to show our kids that and model that in them, because that is, so many huge lessons. And if you show your kids what that's like, they just go through life with a different perspective if they learn that early on, especially when they see how other people live around the rest of the world. So many, many benefits outside of just giving back and affecting those people's lives. I mean, we're changing, we're changing, we're creating legacy, and we're changing in these areas and parts of the world that we're operating in.
Yeah, no, that's very true. So Scott, if somebody's looking to get a hold of you, you mentioned you mentor and teach some students. Where can they find some more information?
Yep. Our site is selfstorageinvesting.com. That is the place to find out everything that we do. There's free videos there that you can download and pull down, as well as we have access to software that you can evaluate self-storage facilities with, and then our home study system, which is more of a business plan to get you into the business. And then, we do have live events. We're scaling back on those these days because we're spending more time investing, but we do still hold 3-day events. They're workshops, and they're applying the principles that we use. It's not a rah-rah session. It's not a pitch fest. It's true workshops to show people how to get into the business. And so the dates of those are on there as well. And then, for those that want to go a little further or go a little faster, we do offer mentoring programs, and we do partner with our students on those deals, and those folks that we have mentored and that we've taught how we go about doing business. So that's all there. And then the usual places on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram. You'll find me at Scott Meyers or something storage. You'll get to me.
That sounds great. Well, Scott, just want to say thanks so much for sharing your success with us today. Sure. And that was a really neat deal. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I'd like to find a couple more of those. I could retire a little earlier.
That's right. Oh, perfect. Well, thanks again. And to you, our viewers, I wish you well in your journey from purchase to profits. See you next time.